Welcome back everyone to the Audacious Witch channel where we talk about the magic behind the stock market. If you are the kind of investor that wants to make a shitload of money all at once rather than making a little bit of money every single day like the rest of the mainstream stocks, this video is for you. I really believe this time is different for cannabis stocks. Everything has a time frame and 2025 is the time for cannabis stock to soar. Trump is about to rewrite federal history. He just targeted a 55-year-old law for demolition. Stocks exploded 42% overnight. Forget AI, forget tariffs. Here's the $90 billion industry Trump's about to unleash. This is where it gets twisted. Cannabis stocks are going to be easy money. This is the moment we have been waiting for. Reschedule uplisting, tax reductions, FOMO. This is for the kind of investor who sees an opportunity to get in on a ground floor market, not just for a quick flip. But why Planet 13? Because this was the stock Jeremy picked to be his Mary Jane. Why I believe this time is different. We have to go back to 4 years ago. Jeremy bought his Planet 13 stock when it was at $4.
Now let's talk about me in regards to stock tomorrow. Am I interested in buying the stock or not buying the stock tomorrow? Well, to be completely honest, it depends on where the stock price is tomorrow. If for any reason the planet sells off more than 5% tomorrow, that's the key number, more than 5% tomorrow, and as long as I'm awake during the time, I will gladly buy some more shares of stock. Not a ton. I'm talking maybe like, maybe anywhere from 2,000 shares to maybe like 4,000 shares. So not like a crazy number or something like that. If for any reason this stock is down, let's say more than 10% tomorrow, then we're talking I might buy 5,000 shares of the stock tomorrow. If this stock was down more than 10% for any reason, the market cap's under $1 billion. Whenever this market cap goes under $1 billion, that's where I really like to add. So 5% I'm keeping an eye on, 10% I'm keeping an eye on. 5% I'm going to buy a little, 10% I'm going to buy a lot.
Well, howdy there, folks. Today we talk about a stock in which I've had a lot of people request. Let's talk about this one, and it is the Planet stock. Yes, the Planet stock is in the $3 range now. And I want to share my opinion on this stock. Has my opinion changed over time in regards to, but like I said, the good news is almost all those folks that have been putting that selling pressure on, almost all those folks are out now at this point in time. That's how you get these stock prices to move down that much. It's just the immense, overwhelming selling pressure. Those folks that were in these stocks went ahead and said, you know what, we're using that money somewhere else. And it is what it is, okay? But in terms of the fundamentals of Planet, I'm absolutely happy with the company. I'm going to obviously continue to track the company, own the company. Now, let's speak for a moment if I'm interested in buying the stock. So my perspective on this is if this stock goes under cost basis in my big dog account, I will absolutely start buying shares again of this stock, right? We're basically, all the stock would need to go down is 15-20%, and I would be under cost basis. So if this goes under 329, that's where I'm interested in buying more shares. I already own a good amount of shares, right? I own 10,000 in the other account. I also own shares in my retirement account, and I own 52,000 shares in my big dog account. So I already have a significant Planet position, especially considering this is, on the spectrum of like a safety stock versus speculative. This is more toward the speculative side, although it's not even close to what it once was as far as speculative. When I first bought this stock, it was very, very speculative. It's not like that anymore when you look at the revenues, the way they're ramping up, and the way this business is being run. I continue to be a huge believer in this one over the next 5-10 years. I think it's one of the most exciting stocks I hold. Absolutely. This sector will just continue to grow. Eventually, federal legalization will come. My thought process has always been when the economy starts to get hit in more of a major way and the government starts to realize, oh crap, we need to do something here. We need to create jobs. I feel like there hasn't been a big emphasis on this because this industry could create hundreds of thousands, if not millions of jobs around the United States of America. So in my personal opinion, it's up from here for this company. It doesn't mean every day, every week, or every month is going to be up from here. But I believe this company has hit the lowest lows it will hit. And the reason I believe that is I believe their business will start to uptrend as kind of 2023 goes along. I also believe that the major sellers are gone from the stock, and I believe there will continue to be buying pressure that comes in the stock as the numbers get better.
Now we can get it for less than 40 cents a share. I will share with you my thoughts on why this time is different with cannabis stocks. It's time to make life-changing money again for the true believers. Yes, True Leaf is the big dog I am playing. I think it's more solid than the Planet, but I believe all of them will do unbelievable. Cannabis is classified as Schedule 1, the strictest bracket, zero medical value, says the federal government. Yet 40 states have medical marijuana programs. Federally, vendors are treated as drug traffickers. Only 250 out of 4,700 plus banks will touch them. 60% operate entirely in cash. They hold duffel bags of money to pay taxes, and that's not even the worst part. There's a tax code called 280E. It bans Schedule 1 businesses from deducting normal expenses, no write-offs for rent, payroll, or marketing. TrueLeaf reports 70 to 80% effective tax rates. Then Trump rewrote history. We're going to look at rescheduling marijuana. He promised a decision within weeks, but the market spoke instantly. Planet 13 stock exploded 42% in hours, but there's a catch nobody's talking about. The DEA process has been frozen since January 2025. Legal appeals, procedural delays, opposition from law enforcement groups. Trump's influence could break the deadlock. Even with Trump's rescheduling, hurdles remain. Interstate commerce stays blocked without Congress. FDA oversight could tighten on health claims. State taxes still crush margins in California, but smart money isn't waiting for certainty. It's moving as we speak. And get this, last year in Florida, Trump even publicly supported a ballot measure for adult use legalization. He said he'd vote for it himself. He's also been kinda okay with medical marijuana and says states should have the right to decide. Here's Trump's cannabis plan, debanking. Stop debanking 400,000 hardworking Americans. Treat them with dignity and respect. Regulate THC, regulate the molecule, simple. No nanny state, common sense, law and order. No public smoking like alcohol, age gating, testing, states' rights. Take back $100 billion, reclaim $100 billion from drug dealers, Mexican cartels, and the Chinese gangs. It's our money, made in America. Take cannabis back from Canada, Mexican cartels, and China. Now, you might think cannabis is just for us free-spirited types, or maybe folks on the West Coast. But things have changed. It's been 13 years since the first states legalized it, and now most Americans live somewhere where you can legally buy weed if you're 21 years old. It ain't just a lefty, hippie thing anymore. Even red states like Missouri and Montana have got these thriving weed markets, all thanks to their voters. It's kinda wild, isn't it? The politics have shifted so much. It's not about being a liberal or conservative anymore. It's more about, what generation you're from. And get this, 70% of Americans, y'all, 70% agree that weed should be legal. Even Republican support hit a majority for the first time in 2022. Plus, young men, who are a big part of Trump's voter base, are more likely to consume cannabis than anyone else. So you can see why he might be eyeing this as an easy win, eh? Now, the Biden administration, they tried to move it to Schedule 3, but that whole process totally stalled out. It's a federal tax rule that basically says businesses dealing in Schedule 1 substances can write off their expenses. It was meant for illegal drug dealers, but it's been absolutely clobbering state legal cannabis businesses. Imagine running a business, paying your employees, buying supplies, and then not even being able to deduct any of it from your taxes. It's brutal. If cannabis moves to Schedule 3, those tax bills would drop like a stone. The top 12 U.S. cannabis companies alone could save $800 million a year. Think of the impact that would have on their bottom line. It would also open up a whole new world for cannabis research, which is a big deal for medical advancements. Now, moving cannabis to Schedule 3 isn't just about taxes. Oh no, it's about a whole domino effect. See, right now, cannabis companies have a real hard time with banking. Most banks are super nervous about dealing with them because of federal laws. It's like trying to run a business, but you can't even get a proper bank account. If they reschedule, it could really push forward other federal laws, like the Safe Banking Act, which would finally let these businesses access normal banking services. That's a game changer. Imagine how much easier it would be to get loans, process payments, and just operate like any other legitimate business. Investors understand what's at stake now. Schedule 3 classification would kill 280E instantly. Cannabis companies could deduct expenses like any business, and tax rates would plummet from 70% to 20 to 30%. But that's just the beginning. Major banks have been watching from the sidelines. New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ won't list Schedule 1 companies. Institutional investors can't touch them. Index funds are locked out. Not anymore. Imagine the possibilities. We could see TrueLeaf listing on the New York Stock Exchange, or BlackRock adding cannabis to portfolios, Visa and MasterCard working at dispensaries. There are billions in untapped potential, but we've seen this exact pattern before. Remember Prohibition ending in 1933? Anheuser-Busch, Seagram's, Molson. Early investors created generational wealth. Online gambling followed the same playbook. DraftKings went from startup to $20 billion. Here's the fascinating bit. Cannabis dwarfs both those markets. Legal sales already hit $30 billion annually. The illicit market, another $60 billion. That's $90 billion waiting for federal clarity. California, Florida, and Illinois would explode. So here's where the rumors are really flying around like seagulls after a fishing boat. Some folks, especially the big cannabis advocates, are whispering that Trump might just go all out and remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act entirely. That means it would be treated just like alcohol or tobacco. Can you imagine? Under that scenario, all these state-regulated programs wouldn't even be breaking federal law anymore. Now, descheduling entirely is a pretty big legal leap, for sure. But bless his heart, Trump has never been shy about pushing the limits of executive power. He's done it before with the courts, with agencies, so like it wouldn't be totally out of his character. There's even this fancy law paper from Bairong, written by Shane Pennington, that says the executive branch could, in theory, deschedule without Congress. It's a bold move, for sure. But Mr. Pennington also says rescheduling is still the more likely path. The Biden administration's effort got stalled, but Trump could just restart it through the DEA, maybe even skip those pesky hearings. He could spin it as, look, I finished the job Biden couldn't get done, and I did it quickly. Talk about an easy win, eh? So there you have it. A teetotaling 79-year-old Republican who talks tough on drugs could be the one to finally bring major change to the America's cannabis policy. It's a whole lot of uncertainty, a whole lot of mixed signals, but potentially a whole lot of opportunity for the cannabis industry down there. Whether it's rescheduling or full descheduling, either way, it's going to have a big ripples. What do you think, eh? Are you in to change your life financially or what? Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more real talk. Cheers!